for allowing me to be here.
I would like to welcome you all to our virtual literacy event.
Good morning, everyone.
I'm Michelle Hardy, the Giving Guru.
Greetings to all the students.
Thank you for having me. I am so delighted to be with you all today to share my love of fitness.
Hi, Dr. Houston. Thank you so much.
Hi, Tori.
Hi, Dr. Houston.
So different. But I stayed brave and I showed kindness to all, even when they weren't kind to me.
And they always come equipped with a smile and grace for when you enter the place.
He hugged Hannah. He started to cry. 2 tears burst from his eyes, and in.
All right, let's chat.
Ask your parents for choices. Or parents provide choices for them.
Means so much to me and my daughter Bria, and probably also for other parents like children of like Hannah.
Tammy, wasn't this a great event?
Oh, it was incredible. And
Join Sheikah and Tammy on the collaborative. Let's go!
The collaborative.
1, 2, 1, 2.
The collaborative.
What's that time?
On Facebook Tuesday at 7.
The collaborative. Who we have? Come on.
We have our leaders. We have our teachers and our parents. We have our authors. Story time at the end. Solving problems in our education system. Phenomenal women.
Join them on Facebook.
On Facebook Tuesday at 7. The collaborative.
It's that time. You're with Sheikah and Tammy.
The collaborative.
Phenomenal ladies. It's educational. Here on the Facebook. The collaborative.
The collaborative.
Hi, hello everyone. Hey, Sheikah. Welcome to the collaborative. We are so excited to have you guys join us for our first summer edition of the collaborative. We're so glad everyone is joining us. Welcome. Hey, Sheikah.
Hi, Tammy. Yes, welcome everyone. This is our first summer reading and math edition, so we are very excited to bring you all of the awesome guests and information and recommendations that we have. Let us know in the comments if you are an educator, if you're a parent, community member, or an author. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and please share this feed to your page. Invite others. We definitely want people to be aware of the information we're going to share today. The collaborative brings educators and parents and everyone together to solve problems in education. We are definitely better together. And we end with story time. So Tammy and I have dubbed ourselves as the literacy leaders and also problem solver educators. So this is a very fitting show to make sure that your little ones are not experiencing the summer slide. So Tammy, what did you all offer this year for summer reading?
So, and before we start, everybody, just so you all know, tonight is going to look a little differently than what we've done as our new look for how we actually conduct the show, because we have a number of amazing resources that we're going to be sharing with you. And those folks are joining us. So we wanted to make space for them. So we're not going to play our games. And Sheikah has some this day in history things, but we're going to forego all that so that we can give you the opportunity to have the exposure to these folks that are incredible resources and can be incredible resources for your children. But I will say this, because today is Dorian's birthday. So even though we're not doing today in history, today is Dorian's birthday. So happy birthday, Dorian.
Definitely.
For our summer reading, and this is one of the things that we've been able to participate in as a school that is in conjunction with what the district has done over the past several years.
Mm-hmm.
And they've created a calendar of events in both math and ELA for children to be able to participate in age appropriate activities that are based on standards for that particular grade level, so that kids are able to get that practice in with activities that are relevant to reading and to mathematics. And last year, of course, we were in the throes of the pandemic, so it looked a little differently than it did this year. We were able to go back to providing the students with bags of books for every student in the school from pre-K through fifth grade to be able to have access to reading materials at home throughout the summer, so that they were able to do that. Also with a math calendar of activities that they're able to participate in over the summer. And it's really a smorgasbord of things that the kids can do. So I'm really happy that we do provide children with that opportunity to continue their learning and to continue to practice those things that they have learned throughout the school year, so that when they come back, we don't see so much learning loss.
Definitely. And just to give you all some information, if you've never heard of the term before, summer slide, about 2.5 months of math skills are lost over the summer, and about 2 months of reading skills can be lost over the summers. So I kind of compare it to, if you think about how a long time ago, before we had cell phones and everybody's phone number was plugged into the phone and you actually knew people's numbers. And now when you ask someone, you know, do you know anybody's numbers? You can't tell them, even if it's a close relative a lot of times. So it's just a good way to
continue to practice.
That's right. If you don't use it, you will lose it. And so the same thing is true for our reading and math for our students. And when you are in schools of promise and you're trying to fill like gaps, and students have done a great job in growing, you don't want to lose that momentum, especially when they have bought in and they're really trying and they're reaching those goals. I know that Principal Hurt in Detroit, his students and his school does a great job with setting goals for students. So I know that's a big thing for them. Shout out to Principal Hurt for joining us as well.
Hey, Principal Hurt.
Yes, Miss Shani from St. Louis, Missouri, who is the Director of Education and also the Literacy Association board member. Educators for Social Justice board member. So thank you so much for joining us. We really want to make sure our students don't lose anything, because we know as educators how hard we've been working, especially during this time of the pandemic, and even as a mom. So we have some great people lined up for you with some great resources. We're not going to parlay anymore. Our first guest.
Shika, before we bring them on, think about this too. I want you just to kind of say this as a parent, because I think sometimes parents feel so guilty about making the children work in the summer, because the kids are really bringing it on with, we've been working in school all year. We're exhausted. You mean we got to do work in the summer? And we're going to have to say, you know, the answer to that's going to have to be yes. You're going to have to continue with what you have obtained during the school year so that you don't go back behind. And that's a real issue that I would love for you, just as a parent, to be able to talk to other parents and say, it will not kill them.
No.
They will be okay.
So yes, my daughter every year, and she's well above her grade level. So I could easily say, you know what, she's already a grade level or two above. this is not going to hurt her not to do anything over the summer. But I am her first teacher. So it's important that not only am I modeling good practices, but that my expectations from home are the most important expectations. So when she comes in and she thinks she's pulling one over on me, oh, we don't have to do any work over the summer, do we? Yes, because otherwise, what are you doing? Wasting away in front of the television, watching YouTube videos. You know,
she does swim a lot, so she's not wasting away.
Swimming, yes. But again, you've got to make sure that Saul is sharpening in the mind. So
absolutely.
Even though wherever she is, it doesn't matter. I want her to continue to grow and to be at her best. And we always work over the summer. And one thing I always tell parents, you know, we invest a lot with our careers, with our jobs, with other things. So if you cannot put 20 minutes, at least at the minimum, that's the bare minimum, 20 minutes aside with your children, you know, we really have got to look at our priorities, because as us being their first teachers, they're getting very important things from us. So sitting that side of time. And let me also say this from an educator and a parent's lens. Don't just send them off with the books and say, go read, because we do have fake readers. I've caught my daughter doing that as well. They'll sit there and pretend like they're reading, but question them about what they're reading. Make sure they're comprehending it. You know, ask them some questions about it. And even if there's some kind of lesson to be learned from the story, talk about that. Use that time as family time. So reading cannot just be just for sharpening those skills. It's time to sit down and engage with your children, because that is important.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I just want parents, for you guys to be encouraged, because this will pay off, and having them to complete those summer activities that the school sends home is really not overkill. It's really so that we can keep them at a pace for the learning that they've already attained throughout that school year. And when they get back and we do those baseline assessments, we see, okay, hey, they did not have this tremendous slide that she could talked about before. So be encouraged and stay strong. Don't let them wear you down with, we can't get any work done.
Right, because they do have some very convincing stories. So we're going to bring on first Miss Pat, who is one of our community partners, and also
Miss Pat.
Also Miss Risha, who is also one of our community partners.
Miss Risha. Welcome, guys. Thank y'all for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, definitely.
So Miss Pat, tell us a little bit about yourself and your platform, and how parents can use reading with bedtime stories with Miss Pat as a resource this summer.
Yes, my name is Pat Edie. I am a supply teacher here in Atlanta, Georgia, in South Cobb County. I've been subbing now for 2 years, and so I heard you ladies talking about we had to do virtual and face-to-face, so it was very difficult. But from September up until now, we made it through. Thank God we made it. So I started bedtime story. Yes, I started bedtime stories back in last year. I think it was March of last year. I was doing it as a Dr. Seuss week just to keep the kids entertained during the little break and during the Dr. Seuss month. But found myself doing it now for 1 year. It was supposed to start off with just me reading. Somehow or another, it's now ended up where I have interviewed over 100 authors that have come on the show, read their books. They give away a book, and I interview them. Now, as of this year, I am on Inspired Living Local channel for about 2 months now. So moved on up.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. Actually, I am now booked all the way up until the end of the year. But I do take authors on a Monday night so that I can get the reading in. Bedtime Stories is a resource from families so that I want to introduce them to different books by different authors. There's so many different books out there that we just don't even know about. And so we'll go to the store and we trying to figure out, what do I want to get my kids to read? And so if you join Bedtime Stories, you'll be able to see the authors in person. You'll get to hear them actually read their own books. And you also have an opportunity to win a book. So, now, it's a wonderful, wonderful platform. I've done children authors. I've done adult authors. Some was real life stories, just different types of book. And I have really enjoyed it. And so I'm still looking for more authors to come on, children authors to come on. If you have a business, if you have whatever you're selling, if you have a book, if you have candles, if it's something dealing with children, you need to reach me, because I am doing interviews. My Bedtime Stories is a platform for authors and entrepreneurs, so that they can get their business out. Especially with the pandemic, it has been so rough for everybody. So everybody jumped on the bandwagon when Facebook, started opening up these platforms with Yardstream and all of these other platforms for authors and other, business people to come on. And so I have been just loving what I do. And I hope that, more people will tune in and just share the page and just support our authors and our business owners there on my page.
That's awesome, Miss Pat. And thank you for what you do. I've tuned in multiple times, which is how we reached out to you as a community partner. And I've even won a book. So thank you. And Miss Risha, tell us about yourself and what you do, and tell us about your Brown Girls box.
Definitely. Well, I'm Risha Washington. I'm the CEO of the Little Brown Girl Group. And so I have an organization that has 4 entities. There's a publishing company. I do skincare. I do events, as well as I have an online store, Etsy store. And so I started the Little Brown Girl Group probably around 4 years ago in 2017, just as a way to give a platform to young African-American girls, other minorities, to kind of utilize their natural talents. And so in the past 4 years, I've done literacy-based fashion shows, as well as tea parties, book events for boys, Books, Boys, and Bow Ties, where boys come in their bow ties and we look at books, meet with government officials, different people from the sheriff's department, and talk about, how big literacy is, what a major role it plays in your life. Mm-hmm. And so one of the projects I kind of started working on during the pandemic was my Brown Girl book box. And so it comes in 4 different editions. This one just so happens to be the infant and toddler edition, but I also offer preschool for 3s and 4s. I have young school age for 5s and 6s, and then I have an older school age box. And so those books these boxes basically include some of my favorite books. There are new books that are, like When God Made You, as well as some of the classics that I kind of grew up as a kid looking at, Just Us Women. Mm-hmm. And so it's good because, like Miss Pat was saying, there, are so many different books out there that, parents, families, and children just don't know about. So I felt that by utilizing the Brown Girl book box, I would be able to put in chunky books for infants and toddlers, picture books with characters that represent, other races and backgrounds and ethnic groups. But then with our preschool books, it's for our beginning readers. And so there are some simple phrases, but there are also some, happy faces. And then for the school age children who are reading independently, chapter books and things like that. And so I'm a 2-time author, but I've also written a couple journal articles and magazine articles and things. And some of those really focus on the importance of literacy. What can we do to make, reading more fun? And Dr. Houston and I, we talked about how, basically, by doing things like fashion shows that are literacy-based fashion shows where children are able to identify their favorite characters in children's books, dress up and be those characters, we're allowing them to showcase themselves, but we're also teaching literacy. Mm-hmm. And so the one, event, Books, Boys, and Bow Ties, boys got to dress up. Some of the boys didn't have bow ties. So it was really cute to be able to go out and get bow ties made with letters and numbers and shapes and stuff on them. And so at the end of the event, each boy walked away with their own custom bow tie that they got, they learned how to tie, and, they got to put on and dress up, and they felt really empowered. So I see a question that pops up and said, is this a monthly subscription? It's not a monthly subscription. What it ends up being is, I offer the boxes 4 times a year. So I'll make sure that I put my information in the chat box where you're able to go into my website and see what's offered in winter, spring, summer, and fall. So that's,
Risha, I want to just say how much Abby absolutely loves her little brown box. And I think you've done an incredible job of making sure with the age appropriate selections, because as you guys can see, this is a board book. So it's get sticky with peanut butter and sticky hands, and we can wipe it off because it is what she selected for the infant and toddler books is a book that is a chunky board book that can be handled and manipulated by the children, and she absolutely loves them. So I think the boxes are amazing. I can't wait to get the next one.
Perfect. Because, I didn't mention this in the beginning, but I've worked in education for 22 years now. And so I've worked basically in every position in early childhood you can think of, from being the after school teacher to the bus driver, working in the kitchen and the infant toddler to every component of an early childhood setting that there is. I've worked and done that. But I always find myself gravitating back to the classroom and literacy. And so that's how I came to fall in love with wanting to present this idea to other families, children, and, utilizing my platform to kind of push literacy forward.
And someone said how much they like the particular books. These are some of the other ones that are in this particular box.
See, I have it in the chunky book as well as the big book, for the older kids. So perfect.
And for 10, are all of them in? You can get them all board or paperback.
For their age appropriate. So let's say, for instance, if you get an infant toddler book for like this time of year, the books that you get now will not be the same books that you'll get 2 months from now.
Gotcha.
So the box will be like January, February box, and then the books will change, March, April, and then they'll change, like throughout the course of the year. So the books you get now will not be the same books later in the year.
That's awesome. I'm sure Brittany's watching for the next box. So
how much do the boxes run? How much are they?
Right now, the boxes, they're priced at $30, and that's because I've been like really nickel and diming through wholesale prices, trying to find affordable books to put in the box. And so I'm trying to keep it at that rate because I don't want to, to create this box with these books that are really, expensive and outlandish books. So right now, they're right around $30, but each box contains 4 to 5 books.
And they are really good books. They are.
Awesome.
Yes, both of Reading with Miss Pat is a resource in our Create and Educate catalog. So we're going to share her information where you can get to her information on the page. And Miss Pat, if you have your authors listed, we can add them to our summer reading list as well. And the Brown Girls box is definitely on our summer reading list.
Oh, okay, awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank y'all so much. And thank y'all for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch with you, Risha, because we do have another project that we want to maybe work on with you together.
Okay, let me know.
And you all feel free to hang out, or I know Miss Pat, you've got to go for your broadcast, but if you want to hang around later, that's fine. Or, we'll get back in touch with you. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
And just to give you all some information about your brain being on books, reading increases the knowledge in students' vocabulary by 50%. It lowers stress by 68%. It can lengthen your life by 2 years. So reading,
read.
Yes, read. It can also boost moods. Sometimes you hear about some things, some challenges children may have, and it helps them relax. So, bedtime stories usually are really good. And you always want to start things like family traditions. So just your children being able to remember being read to. And then if we know that sometimes it's difficult to fit things in, that's when you can utilize resources like Reading with Miss Pat. You can just tune in, Bedtime Stories with Miss Pat, tune in, and then, you and your child just engage with it together. And if it's not hyperlinked, I will make sure we get that on there, Miss Allen, when the broadcast ends. So we are going to bring on some of our math experts. Let's see, Miss Denise.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having
joining
me.
us.
My pleasure. Honored.
All right. And Miss LaDanya is with us as well.
LaDanya.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So Denise, tell us about Stimulate Learning and any types of math strategies or tips you can give parents and educators and families.
And first off, I want to thank you for your love of reading and inspiring our children to read, because my mom had books in her hands super early. And I just wanted to tell you that as leaders in any area, whether it's corporate America or education, I write every day. We have to write so extensively. And if you're not reading, you're not writing. And I just wanted to say that I really attribute a lot of my great writing skills because I was reading at such an early age. Plus, it stimulates your creativity.
It does.
And then it just allows us to escape. And so every part of that data was great. Now segue right on over to me. Mine is not going to be tangible. Stimulate Learning is known. Stimulate Learning. I'm the CEO, Chief Educational Officer of Stimulate Learning. We've been in business for about 4 years almost. Seems like it was yesterday. And we serve K through 12 in mathematics. Our primary focal is all things algebra, because we believe that 80% of math problems are solved with 20% of algebra concepts. So we really go hard on that particular 20% that solves that 80. And then we usually align to the standards. So we offer programs for instructional coaching for teachers and up to administrators. And we basically do observation cycles. We watch their practice, we model. And lately we're getting hired, not so much for the actual math knowledge. Even at flagship schools, they're looking at us for more of the culturally responsive teaching and pedagogical practices. So they're now bringing us in to say, you know what, we can pump the scores. We can get the math improvement, but our kids are not excited and ignited about math. Can you come in and let them really understand what cultural relevance is and how to really ignite learning in children? When they said that to me, it lit me up. Our second program is I always say we hijack classes. So teachers allow us to come. It just sounds so sexy. The kids think it's fun. And so hijack is the real fun word. Anything
ignite.
Exactly. Ignite. As soon as I say we hijacked your class today, I walk in and the kids are like. So with that said, it usually sets the tone for the relationships, and I build them pretty quickly, and our consultants do as well. But I think we take over and really kind of support that COVID slide and that summer slide. So not only do you have the summer slide, like you mentioned, we got the COVID slide. And it's really deep, and it's really a lot of learning loss. And in mathematics, especially in our beautiful people of color, we tend to be more affected by it. So Stimulate Learning takes a really good look at bridging those gaps, and we help the school districts with that. And Sheikah is one of my clients. So thank you for having me today.
Definitely.
In terms of resources, I'll make it very quick. I'm going to get a little jiggy here because I don't really want to point out a ton of resources. Like I can give you CUDA software, which we use, which we find some really great worksheets in alignment. Not Khan Academy necessarily, but CUDA, CUDAsoftware.com. And then there's one called Math Drills Worksheets. And I have a few more that are games, but Stimulate Learning is a hands-on company. And what we do is we encourage children to, number one, get outside and do math. I think we're not getting enough physical education. We're not getting enough energy from grounding ourselves outside. It has so many psychological components. And as a matter of fact, I can't speak from just talking. I'm telling you what we do. We hijack classes. We pull you out. We're doing a scavenger hunt on Thursday. It's all math. I like Patricia likes that. It's aligning with the concepts and the standards. It's what we do in our pre-assessments and post. It's that 20%, and we get them moving. So not only as soon as we tell the kids we're pulling them out, and we don't pull them out like we pull out a child, we pull them all out.
Right.
And it's a part of that whole hijacking concept. And you should see the excitement in these children. We're going to have them running all over. They're going to find open them up, and they're math problems that they have to solve in groups. And for those that study the future of education, that is the future. They're not working in silos. Teachers are facilitators of instruction. It's inquiry based, and the children grapple and struggle through it. And we just continuously ask the next question. The scavenger hunt is perfectly aligned. We're doing a hot potato game in Foursquare, and they're going to do math that way. I'm not going to tell you that I'm not going to get parents involved, because we all have accountability, Sheikah. It's not just you teachers who work so hard and you administrators. You guys give everything at school. We're asking the parents to step up and go in your backyard, get some erasable chalk, go in the front yard, do a hopscotch and make it math. Everybody plays a part. I don't come to give lots of resources to say, oh, go look this up on the computer. Get your kids off the computer and spend some time as a family. And I think, honestly, if my kids were smaller, I'd be doing hopscotch with them. I would be doing Foursquare. I would do it all. And I can't wait to do the scavenger hunt with the kids. I'm going to be running all around with them. It's things you can do together to bring family together that we've lost in the slide. So those are the things that I want to contribute today, and just tell you that math can be fun and exciting when you make it fun and exciting, and Stimulate really tends to do that.
Thank you, Denise. I really love the examples that you gave, because when children can see the relevance of math, because sometimes that's what makes them check out. Like, what am I going to use this for? But when they get that connection to the everyday world, oh, that's algebra. Sometimes they don't make that connection. So when you're able to do that, that's what gets them excited.
And that's what I love about what you're saying about Stimulate, Denise. The thing is, those algebraic concepts make up most of what children struggle with, even from the earliest times when they're in kindergarten and pre-K. That number sense is just not there. And so when you start to instill those algebraic concepts in them early, and they learn how math works, then they aren't afraid to do math. And that's what happens when they check out to it. They're afraid, like, I'm not good at math. I don't like it.
I hear it every day, and I change that, and I make them stop saying it, and I make them say, I love math. I love math. You can just tell me you love math, because we're going to make you love math. And you guys are awesome, because now I'm going to say this and I'll stop, because you just opened this up. I got to go there. What you do, what about all the word problems that we have to deal with in math? We not only sometimes change the words in the word problems to become relevant, culturally relevant. We take word problems and we switch them up, and we change them to, I've never seen more middle school kids wear $200 tennis shoes in my life. So if tennis shoes are the things you work hard and you save your little, what do we call that, allowances or whatever you get, you trim the backyard and get money. We put all of that into our word problem. So not only are we really focusing on the reading skills, it's a tandem approach there, because you've got to be able to understand. Then we show them how to abstract the words that are the most important and solve those problems. So in a way, we're doing a little bit on both sides. And it is culture. We always make it culturally relevant.
It's awesome.
It is. Thank you. And
thanks for having me.
Yes, definitely. And we put Denise's information in the comments if you would like to get in touch with her to do anything with your staff or teachers, educators. You can contact her that way. So thank you so much, Denise.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And our author, Miss LaDanya, you have several books. So tell us about yourself and some of the books that you've written. And we're adding one of them is already on the reading list, but we didn't know you had 12 books, girl. So tell us about your books.
thank you first off for just this opportunity to be able to be here. And I love what you're doing because I'm a mother who's hands-on. I have 2 boys and I'm always helping them, reading with them. Like you said, fake readers, I understand. But so my name is LaDonna Marie. I'm an international multi-award winning author of 12 books. I'm an overcomer of suicide, and I write books to help people to develop in personal development and also personal growth. And so I do that by helping them to be the best version of themselves by discovering the champion inside of them. And that's the brand message for LaDonna Marie Books. I've done 12 books. I work on their emotional wellness. I work on emotional intelligence, but I help them to have practical skills to navigate through life. I do this for the preschooler all the way up into the senior saint. I have books for everyone. I have children's books. I have devotionals. I have teenage books. I have workbooks. So that's hands-on work that we can do, because I feel like sometimes I'm in the like I said, personal development, and also thinking about their total holistic care. If your mind is not right, and I also work a lot with social and emotional learning. And so even for myself, because I always put myself on the hot seat, and that's the way that God had me to do it, to share with them my low times, because I smiled every day, but I was still going through, and no one knew almost for 15 years. And so until he told me to tell that story, why you have that beautiful smile, they need to know what you've gone through. But he helped me to overcome those obstacles. And that's the reason why I kept moving forward. And so that's what I do. With all of my books, I help them to encourage them. I help to give them skills, things I wish I knew. Just won an award last year, but it's a book for teenage girls because I wanted to help them with some of the hiccups that I had as a teenager. Even Larry the Alligator Makes Friends. That's my children's book that I did for my now 10-year-old son. He was 3 years old at the time, but I saw him having connection issues or persevering or having that assertiveness. And so I wanted to teach him how to make good friends. I wanted to give him language. And I said, Lord, if I do this for my child, I want to be able to do it for children all over the world. And so Larry the Alligator Makes Friends teaches them how to pick good friends, teaches them what, bullies look like, and also how to learn to love themselves. So I gave them language. In many of the workbooks that I have, like Maximizing Your Inner Strength, it talks about that inner fortitude that you need. Most time, sometimes we'll give up if something's tough. We don't have all the answers, like you were talking about math, how you shy away. So I do that by way of my workbooks to give them practical things to help them dig inside and find those nuggets. Because as God taught me, I had everything I needed on the inside. I just had to go through some things to shine like a diamond. And so I do that with all of my books, helping them to discover their inner winner.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love the fact that you mentioned making sure that you're sharing your story with students. A lot of times we as adults think that, children don't need to know certain things or share certain things. And one of my teachers was very intentional about making sure students knew his struggles when he was growing up. He struggled with, he's a math teacher. He struggled with things academically. And it took him some time to even pass his teacher exam. And he shares that with students just to let them see, we are also real people, because they sometimes look at us and think, oh, they don't have any struggles. And so when you share your struggles and then they see where you are now, then they can see, well, wow, if Mr. Burgess did it, if Miss LaDonna did it, I can do it too, So I think that is so important. And I love the social and emotional learning that you're addressing. So I think that is awesome. Do you also go into schools as a speaker, like motivational speaker as well?
Yes, I do. I usually talk, speak at the junior high schools and the middle schools. I've taught at elementaries. I've gone to high schools because I know that it's very needed for them even to see someone, because I tell them, I was 14 years old and I went through that, but now I'm older and, I've kept believing in myself and what God had inside of me. And I've been to nations. I've been over to Kenya. I've been to London. I won awards in London. And so I want to tell them that even as I, thought that I didn't have anything to contribute to the world, but now I can share that story to let people have hope and the faith to keep moving forward. And so every book that I write, even the latest one, The Journey, the Path, The Way I See It, is helping people to walk through and to learn how to sharpen their fortitude to continue to hold their head up and keep moving forward.
Keep shining bright like a diamond, honey.
Oh my goodness. We have so much in common. We are going to talk, Patricia. Way more than you think.
Well, that is awesome. I love your story, and I love the fact that you are sharing it with the world and children, because they sometimes struggle with those same types of things and need to see that resilience, need to hear how someone overcame it. And so I just commend you.
Thank you so much. This is maximizing your inner strength. And so even though I wrote it for, I wrote it for everyone, because the way I see it, certain issues don't have a face. They just are prevalent. And so even when we're going through anxiety, depression, or different things, or just, fear of facing new things or attacking. I mean, I was one of those children who didn't want to stand up at the chalkboard, but I had to. So I give a lot of things that help everybody. And so you can go over to www.ladonnamarie.org and go to the shop page, and all 12 of my books are there.
Yes, and we're going to get that list from you too to add to our summer reading.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, thank you both for being with us.
Yes, thank you
all want to hang out backstage, that is great. We'd love to talk to you afterwards, but we really appreciate you and what you do.
And thank you for making math exciting, Denise, for kids.
All day, every day. I love being with my kids and doing math.
Yes,
thank
and
you.
It has made a difference to the work that you all have done with us. So thank you.
And it makes a difference for us educators because we love being with them, and it gives us life. So love it. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
See you in the green room.
Okay. And we have also with us Edward and Bernard from EduMonitor, which is another math resource. They're backstage. If they want to turn on their cameras, I'll bring them on. But it's a great math resource that is a computerized resource, as well as some phenomenal copies of books for reading and math. So this is resources that I will use with my own children. Tammy's going to use it as well. We can't stress enough how important it is to make sure, even during the summer, and I know that coming from a parent's perspective, that learning this year looked a lot different. It was tough. It was tough on parents, and I'm an educator. And I was thinking some days like, oh my God, this is too much. This is too much for me. This is a lot. And, my children aren't high school students. They're in elementary school, and just trying to keep up with all of the communications from the teachers and keep everything on track. It was a lot, but even in all of that, we still have to continue to make sure we are sharpening those skills, because we don't want our students to not be engaged in learning. That message of learning and being important starts at home. So we want children to hear those messages from us first. And when, they're not just hearing it from school, and you're making sure as the mom or the dad or the parent or the caretaker, hey, we're going to spend 20 to 30 minutes on some reading and math today. That sends that message that this is the expectation, and students always rise to the occasion. Hi, gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us. So, Tammy.
Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. And we were just talking about how great your resource is. Tammy, did you want to talk about the print copies of the book?
Sure. The work that these gentlemen they're doing right now is really important to the landscape of what Sheikah was talking about before, with providing those opportunities to practice those skills that we are sharing, that kids are responsible for at each grade level. And one of the things that Sheikah mentioned when we first came on was how important it is to provide them with quality resources to be able to practice those things that they've learned during the school year, and to be able to see that they are able to progress and self-check. And this is kind of the way that these gentlemen they've organized the materials that they have that are the print copies. And those printed copies, if you're interested in seeing those or obtaining some of those, you can contact Sheikah and I, and we can definitely get you what you need from them. But they are amazing. They are very well put together by way of the graphics are just very high quality. The materials are engaging for the children to be able to practice those things that they've learned and to reinforce things that you might be working on with them at home. And as Denise was saying, one of the things that's really important is making sure that the kids are engaged in the work that they are doing. So although these printed copies are in the form of books, what you can do is you can take those things that are put together there for practice, and as parents, you can incorporate them into the things that you're doing with your kids that have them engaged in the work that you have for them to be doing. So we do suggest that you check those materials out because they are excellent practice resources. And in addition to the printed copies, they offer subscriptions that we are also able to help you to explore if you're interested in any of those opportunities. So we are proud to partner with EduMonitor and these gentlemen who have really done an amazing job of putting together some very high quality materials. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if there's anything you all would like to highlight, feel free, or because Tammy and I can continue talking about how great the product is.
Yeah, I can say that Sheikh and Tammy are doing a wonderful job, and that's why we chose to work with them. Mm-hmm. They have looked at our materials, they are experienced teachers, educators. So we are working with them closely to give you the best we can. But otherwise, as they have said, we can't say enough beyond what they have said. The materials are great. Check them at our website. And if you want more information, you can check and talk to Sheikh and Tammy, and you get all these materials.
Yes, definitely. We will have the EduMonitor site linked on our website, and you will be able to get logged in for your subscriptions as well as purchase hard copy books. My daughter has already started. The materials go from K through 5. So she has already started working on the subtraction. That's what we're working on for her. So she was really excited to bring that work home and us go over it today. So they have already started, and it's really helping. So thank you, gentlemen.
Yes. And it's a pleasure for us to work with you guys. So thank y'all. And we definitely, for all of you who are watching or those who are recommended by someone who's watching, make sure you let us know that you heard about it or saw it through the collaborative so that we can make sure that we're keeping track of all of the folks that are interested so that we can make those contacts as soon as possible.
Definitely. Thank you, gentlemen. And we will make sure all of these resources are shared. Several people are definitely interested in them. So we will definitely get you the list so that everyone can make sure that their skills are being honed this summer.
Yes.
So we have gotten to story time, which we know is very important from what we've been discussing the entire show. And before we bring on Ms. Scott, I just want to also say one thing as a mom. Sometimes you start thinking about reading and think, oh, well, you have to wait till your children get to school. But when I was carrying my daughters, I read to them. And when they were born as infants, I would walk around the house and have full conversations. You know, my husband would be like, what are you doing? But language immersion theory and philosophy of language immersion and being immersed in language, and that's how you learn the language, works the same way with children learning how to talk and to speak. So when your children are infants, if you have babies, a child, walk around, tell them the things that are in the kitchen, just name the items that are there, name the items in your bedroom. We used to take tours of the house and we would talk about everything, just a full conversation and not the baby talk, not the goo goo gaga, because those are not real words. Use real words so you can develop that vocabulary in them very early. Both of my daughters have very extensive vocabularies, and that's because before they were born, mommy was talking that entire time. So keep talking to those babies.
And expect them to speak to you in complete sentences.
Exactly. So we are going to bring on Miss Scott. Hi, Miss Scott. Oh, I think you're on mute. We can't hear you. Okay, well, I'm going to
let me try now.
There it is. Okay.
Great. Hi, how's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And your book is also one of the books that are on our summer reading list. And we love the fact that not only is it a coloring book, because students do love to express themselves creatively through the arts and drawing. My daughter defines herself as an artist, my youngest.
Great.
But several people have listed in the comments about the importance of cultural relevancy. So please tell us about yourself. Tell us about your coloring book and the uniqueness of your coloring book, that it's not just a traditional coloring book.
That's right. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. You guys are doing great work, and I have just been so excited to hear some of the things that's been shared thus far. And I look forward to, ordering for my grandson. My daughter just graduated high school, so I'm very happy about that.
Congratulations.
But these Black History coloring books were actually the vision of that daughter that just graduated high school. She noticed that those children that are the other students that excelled and were confident and were doing great in school, just overall, were those children who were proud of their history and proud of their heritage. Mm-hmm. Whereas she observed the children that struggled generally did not express that same pride or knowledge of their heritage. And she even observed other students, African-American students, say verbally that they wish they were white.
Mm.
And so she had this idea to create Black History coloring books. And when she shared the idea with me, I thought it was such a great idea that I asked her if I could join her. So together we set out on this journey during the pandemic to create these African-American Black History coloring books. And I am not a teacher. My mother was a teacher. Even though oddly enough, for in my entire adult life, And even within the last few weeks, someone asked me if I was a teacher. But recently, another educator, as I was sharing our Black History coloring books, said that, yes, you are a teacher. Maybe not formally educated, but yes, you are a teacher. So I guess finally, after all these years, I can say I am a teacher.
And remember, I mentioned that at home, moms and parents, we are the first teachers. So you've been a teacher ever since then, and some maybe before.
So true. And that is so true. The mother especially is the first teacher. So yes, you're absolutely right. So the first book that we created is Untold Stories of the Underground Railroad. And in this book, we share 20 or so stories, unheard stories generally, of the great and inspiring things that African Americans did in the Underground Railroad. Most of us have heard about the Underground Railroad, but for the most part, beyond Harriet Tubman, few even adults, and especially not children, can tell you of the great contributions that African Americans made to the Underground Railroad. And so each coloring book will be around a certain theme where we will explore the great things that African Americans and even Black Americans, Black folks beyond America did, and the great contributions that they made, not only in this country, but in society at large. Mm-hmm. And this topic, even though one would think that, that time is past, it is not past. It's still important that children and even adults understand the contributions that African Americans and Black people have made throughout history.
And there is so much going on in a previous show that we had where the critical race theory is trending, and several states have banned it. And the rationale is that they don't want certain children to feel uncomfortable or bad about themselves when they learn about racism. But if we don't introduce certain concepts in tell children the truth about history, we are doing everyone a disservice, because that is how things will repeat themselves when you are not being honest and, having that true dialogue. The other part of what I love about your book is that children are learning their history, and not just children, because I think as adults, we look back at what we learned in school, and some of it was not, the history of our ancestors or anything that was empowering. A lot of times what we heard was that our story started with slavery. So it's important to make sure, like you talked about, that we know our history as well, and that we're passing that on to our children.
Yes.
Is there an excerpt you would like to read from from the book?
Yes. Today I'm going to share the story of William and Ellen Kraft. They were self-emancipators. And I just would like to ask, are you familiar with their story?
I am not.
I am not either.
Great.
I'm eager to learn, and we're actually going to put ourselves backstage so we can give you the platform.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Ellen and William Kraft both grew up enslaved on 2 different plantations in Macon, Georgia. Ellen was very light-skinned, and people often thought that she was a member of the slaveholder's family. This made the plantation owner's wife angry, so she decided to sell Ellen. At the age of 11, Ellen was separated from her mother and sent to live and work in the home of the plantation owner's daughter. William had his own harsh experience with separation. When he was only 16, he and all of his family members were split apart and sent to live on separate plantations. Some years later, Ellen and William met, fell in love, and got married. Both of them had horrible memories of being separated from their families. Ellen wanted to have children, but the thought of them being taken from her made her tearful. William came up with a great plan to escape to freedom. Since Ellen was often mistaken for a white person, she would disguise herself as a rich male plantation owner. William would be disguised as an enslaved man traveling to serve the plantation owner. During that time, women did not travel with men other than their family members. This is the reason that Ellen would disguise herself as a man. The two of them would take a train to the north in disguise, where they could live free. Enslaved people were sometimes given passes on holidays, so William and Ellen asked and were given one for Christmas time. William was a highly skilled carpenter, and he may have been able to earn some money for himself by working on Sundays. They made their plans to escape in December of 1848. Ellen sewed a pair of pants to wear, and William cut her hair. She put on a pair of eyeglasses and a top hat to complete her look as a plantation owner. Like most slaves, Ellen was not taught to read or write. William wrapped a sling over Ellen's arm to make people think it was injured. Ellen would be asked to sign papers when she purchased tickets at the train station, and the injured arm would give her a good excuse not to sign. They were afraid, and if they were caught, they would be punished with beatings or even sold to live on another plantation separately, or something even worse if the slaveholders decided. They prayed and took off for their train ride to freedom. Their first stop at the train station in Macon, Georgia, where Ellen purchased their tickets. Next, they boarded the train. Ellen sat in first class cabin, and William sat in a separate cabin for Black people. Enslaved people often attempted to run away, so people checked the cabins for runaways. William noticed a white cabinet maker that knew him peeping through the train windows. He sank into his seat to hide, and luckily, the train pulled off. Ellen faced a scary situation in first class. She noticed a friend of her slaveholder and feared that he had come to pull her off the train. Instead, the man greeted her saying, "It's a very fine morning, sir," and continued walking past her. Her disguise worked. For the next several days, Ellen pretended that she was deaf so that she wouldn't have to talk with her slaveholder's friend. Further along in their trip, they had to buy tickets to take a steamboat from South Carolina to Philadelphia. Ellen was required to sign a document to purchase their tickets, and the ticket agent refused to sell them to her when she explained her arm injury. The train was about to take off without them when the captain from their previous train ride convinced the ticket agent to sell them the tickets. The next day, they made it safely to Philadelphia, and Ellen burst into tears and said, "Thank God. William, we're safe." They were quickly given assistance through the Underground Railroad. The news of their creative escape made its way back to Georgia, and slave catchers were sent to kidnap them and take them back to the plantation. The slave catchers were not successful, but it scared William and Ellen. They had children and still feared separation and being returned to enslavement. So they moved to Europe and lived in freedom. After the Civil War ended and slavery was outlawed in the United States, the Krafts returned to the United States to live. They returned to Georgia, where they no longer feared enslavement or separation of their family. They opened a school in Georgia so that Black children that had been enslaved could learn to read and to write.
Thank you. That
Thank
was
you.
an awesome story. And what doesn't happen a lot of times, you don't hear these types of stories when these sections of history are taught in school. So
Exactly.
this type of empowering story about how this couple, what they had to endure and them escaping and then them being able to start a school and teach children to learn and read and write. These are the empowering stories that our children need to hear. So thank you for sharing the story and what you do. We have copies as well. So it is phenomenal.
Thank you for allowing me to share.
Yes, ma'am. We really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
And if you don't mind putting the purchase information either in the chat or the comments, and we can get it transferred over to the comments for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love your book. It's great.
It is. Well, we hope that everyone got something from today with summer reading and math. We hope that you realize the importance and make sure that our students are progressing to where they need to be. We will provide you with all of the list, all of these great authors and people who have great things that can be utilized, resources. We really don't have any excuses not to make sure the children are engaged in something over the summer. And please, my daughter's a very good talker. She is a very convincing young lady. She might need to look and be a lawyer. But don't let them convince you that they are, just so overwhelmed that they can't read for 20 minutes.
So exhausted.
Oh, yes, they'll come up with everything. But as I mentioned about, those positive things about reading, the vocabulary boosting, the lowering of stress, the boosting of the mood, helping you relax. It even helps your memory, your imagination, and your heart. So, because when you're talking about character and thoughts and feelings, it helps students or children and people in general become kind and have empathy. So all of those messages are important. And Tammy and I are going to be taking a little break, the collaborative, for the summer, so we can also get some reading done. We have a book club that we're going to be working with. We're reading Principal Kafele's book is one of our educator books that we're reading, and going to be talking with some other educators about how to implement those strategies. But we won't be completely ghost. You'll see the feed go live here and there. My daughters, they want their own show, The Adventures of Liz and Bells. They will be coming on to share what they're reading, their summer reading stories. They have a whole box of books. My daughter is really into the How I Survived series, so she'll be sharing some of those. And Tammy's going to hop on with a few days with them as well, just to model the types of questions that you should be asking when your children are reading, and just modeling that comprehension piece, because making sure that they're comprehending what they're reading is just as important as setting that set time aside for them to read.
Yes, I'm, in addition to the adult book club, I'm also in the children's book club with Liz and Bells. So we're excited to come on and share with you guys.
We are, and I know my aunt calls the girls little old ladies. I know that those little old ladies will be very entertaining. So if you want to motivate your children or students by reading, have them watch as well, because sometimes seeing other children do things is very relevant to them, to where they might get motivated and want to join in the conversation or do some things as well. So we really appreciate you all tuning in with us, for hanging in there with us. This is our, I think, the 30th episode on Tuesdays at 7. So we definitely have enjoyed this, and we'll look forward to our relaunch closer to the fall when it comes up to our year anniversary.
We're excited to celebrate our year of being with you guys. So that's something that we're really, really looking forward to.
We are.
We'll keep you guys posted on what that celebration is going to look like.
So thank you guys. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Joy Shika and Tammy on the collaborative. Let's go!
The collaborative.
1, 2, 1, 2.
The collaborative.
What's that time?
On Facebook Tuesday at 7. The collaborative.
The collaborative.